What if that little man in the signs, you know, the one on the fire exit signs and on gents' toilets, what if he was alive, you know, when you weren't looking and he jumped around and moved about? Admittedly, this sounds a bit like a conversation you might have down at your drinking establishment of choice after you've just necked 4 sambucas, but it makes for an interesting game. And this is the Pedestrian, this is the one that runs with that idea. What if that little man could move? And it's a puzzle platformer, and the way that it sets it up is you're within the signs and you've got to connect the signs together using little nodes. So you connect doors and ladders, etc. And you've got to navigate around these signs and get to the exit of each section. And all of these sections are embedded in these bigger spaces. This is a warehouse, for example. I really like that, and it reminds me of another game called Perspective, which I played a while ago that was great, where you froze your little character and moved closer and he'd be bigger and could jump different places. And that was really fun. And sort of nesting a 2D thing in a 3D world is just, I quite like that art style. It's really nice. This is a demo for the Pedestrian, and as such the puzzles aren't too hard because it's basically the tutorial level of the final game, so you wouldn't want to throw the hardest challenges you could at the player straight away, would you? You want to ease them in, unless you're Dark Souls. So you're not going to find anything too taxing here, but there's still a few things where you have to move the signs about in particular ways, because the way it restricts you is that the links between nodes can only be a certain length, and doors have to connect in a certain way and ladders in a certain way, so it forces you to think and use spatial reasoning to work out how you're going to get through. And later on, keys are introduced, and they work a bit like the keys in Braid. If you pick it up but then you break a connection, you get booted back to the start. Same as in Braid with the timey-wimey keys. So you've got to plan it out from the start. You've got to look at the signs and move them around physically on the screen and then link them up so you know you go through that door, you pick up that key, you go back through, you open another door, and you go through, and then you jump on a piston and jump in a lift. And there are a few obstacles in the way. There's a saw blade thing that can kill you, and I found that you can get crushed in a lift, which is just like real life. I don't recommend jumping out of moving lifts into the lift shaft. But it's all rather tame, but it's lovely, and as a foundation for something that they're going to build on, and it's apparently going to release next year, 2017, on PC and Mac on Steam, it could do some very interesting things with maybe restricting which signs you can move, or which doorways you can get through, or adding in more layers of complexity upon this foundation. And I think they're going to take it to new locations. The majority of the demo takes place in a warehouse, whereas in the final game I think you're going to be able to explore the city, stop signs, etc. And that's going to be really cool. So I'm very excited for this one, and I'm going to keep an eye on its development and hopefully play the final version when it releases next year, which will be great. So that was The Pedestrian by Skookum Arts, and I've been Ed Quarters. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see all of you in the next one. Bye for now!